What's up, fellow gamers? Phreak here, and it's tomorrow, and we're recording the video. This one is about the Rumble update that went on TV earlier today, at least at the time of recording. And I want to talk about what the goals are, how I got here, what's going on. So first things first, the idea for this came back around patch 13.4. I had noticed that for a very long time, and actually we'll just kind of scroll down and look at it.
Imagine, wait, I'm dead.
Here we go, we're on the thing now. That Rumble has been an elite skewed champion, which is not an inherently bad thing. He is a mid lane skewed champion, which is not an inherently bad thing. But Rumble's primary audience has still been top lane. Slowly over time, and I remember like, across years, he's gone from like a 70% top lane pick rate, 30% mid lane pick rate, to finally being like 55, 45. Because despite the fact that he's a weaker top laner than mid laner, not all mid laners, and Rumble players gonna be happy, right? And one of the really big things was Rumble is not a juggernaut. This was actually very important. There was a version of the W in testing where it wasn't a flat shield. It was like, oh, it could be a bunch of armor MR, or it can be a bunch of like flat damage reduction, like a Mumu E or Leona W. We never play tested this, but this was like, hey,
God, it's so disgusting.
You know, I feel like a short duration, relatively small shield is not going to help him team fight very well. Like, he's not really good at the front line. And had some discussions, was like, yeah, he's still meant to be a mid-range mage. It's a little bit Cassiopeia, a little bit Ryze, a little bit Lilia.
Nice, I'm exhausted.
Not Mordekaiser, not Volibear, right? This champ is meant to build a bunch of damage items and use his mobility and his range advantage.
I'm unkillable. I'm literally unkillable.
Right? Again, Rumble is not meant to be Mordekaiser.
Sprint that their entire team with ghosts.
Is how much of the passive is a punishment, how much of the passive is a reward. Because if it's all a reward, you just keyboard tap all your buttons all the time and just like overheat constantly if you don't think you're the champion. And if there's never a reason to be in danger zone or whatever, you know, there's like no downside for it. And if it's just a punishment, you just feel bad for the player champion. Like I can't think of another champion whose passive outright punishes them. Like sure, there's things like Senna and Thresh that say, hey, get souls or you don't have stats, and that's understandable. And champs can run out of mana by casting spells too frequently, and they can run out of energy by casting spells too frequently. In addition to giving him power in team fights, I wanted to give him power, specifically late game in 1v1s. Thinking about, you know, how can Rumble succeed in late game? It's like, well, he's got to go face off against a level 16 Darius. And I don't think Live or Rumble can really do that. Live Rumble is sit in the brush and one-shot somebody with an overheat combo. Feels like rough for that champ is this guy should not be a juggernaut. Okay, he's not gonna be juggernaut. He's nudged in that direction. All the damage AP ratios are still there. And the shield is not so aggressive that's going to be huge here. There's no armor and MR ratios on this kit. There's no really big juggernaut outputs. We are constrained by elite mid lane win rate. How much power can we give him elsewhere across like every other part of this axis of MMR and lane? Can we get everyone else into a better spot except for elite mid laners? And Rumble players gonna be happy. And you might decide that actually, yeah, I'm good enough at killing front line now that I'm willing to go Zombia's Banshee. I mean, maybe, but like these are relatively light touches. But you know, my experience with Zero is that players will overcorrect sometimes. They will, and again, they will overcorrect.
Oh my god, last stand conquer, I'm full health.
Bridges is thinking that it's on so far it's going to be required, and just hasn't.
I wonder how much last stand deals you.
And again, the intent here is the same with Rumble, where I'm not meant for Demonic to. He no longer functions. He hasn't for a long time because he has been constrained by his elite mid lane. That has been my observation as a champion for the last several years, around Pat ever. But regardless, hey, somewhat tactically, right? Reduce power from early game roaming to Rumble, give him power elsewhere. That's kind of one of the sort of tactics go for. But let's give him things that he's happy to have, right?
Talon just shit on that guy. Wait, this is it. This is it. Oh my god. It's everywhere.
You now have 100 feet to play with.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were
5 individual spell casts instead of 2.5. Right, you have 5 spell casts to play with instead of 2.5, so it is much more forgiving to play in the danger zone. This is definitely, I think, a lot of power. This is, I think, the biggest buff of the champion.
Yeah, I'll take damage, I think,
but
guys.
one that I really do think is positive. It's played as well when I've played it. I think it's generally played as well when other players have played it. The only negative feedback I've gotten is it's hard to overheat on command, but that is learnable, right? Like, Rumble's going to be high mastery, right? And choosing to play at 80 heat versus 60 heat versus 112 heat or 110 heat or whatever, and saying, hey, I'm going to manipulate my heat. Like, so this is like kind of tactical, right? Like, here's one of the ways I'm going to try to lower mid lanes.
Oh my god,
and
you guys are instant. Yo, what was that, man? Did you pay them or what?
Lane champions. I don't think Rumble is like meant to necessarily be a lane. Making Rumble more forgiving to play. This is a champion who is like very old, right? He's been around for over 10 years. If you want to master him, you would have already, basically. And ultimately, I think this is a champion that the rules can be loosened up a little bit. There were a couple of versions of what it looked like. We settled on the one that you're going to see in these notes here.
Oh my god, if my Leandre's killed the other guy, that would have been so nice.
Still want Rumble to reward high mastery, though. The goal is not to make Rumble Mordecai. Where Mordecai buys like one AP item and then builds full tank, Rumble is probably still going to build 5 things with ability power. He might be more likely to build Demonic Embrace. That's probably fine. But Rumble is not a juggernaut, right? That's an explicit goal of this change. We can't do a video without talking about
there's no
here,
fucking way. There's just no way.
One, laner. And if his power is less in wave clearing and roaming, his power can be in, no, I'm good at 1v1 in the guy with the Divine Sunderer. He's a top laner. We did it. Congratulations. We can push his power toward team fighting, where his team fighting is unequivocally better against the melee champions